Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Docs Huddle, your gateway to an in depth connection between sports medicine and the latest events in sports, fantasy, and betting. Today's show is brought to you by the Health and Wellness Depot. Unlock the power of well being. I'm Dr. Mikey B. With me, as always, CJ, the sports enthusiast, AA, our stats specialist, and Dr. MJB, the legend. What's going on, gentlemen?
How we doing?
Doing well. Middle of the week, just trying to chug it through.
Absolutely.
That's it.
With that being said, let's go ahead and get the show started, boys. Lots to talk about, okay? Lots to talk about. Week 10 just ended, so we're entering week 11 this week. Thought we'd kick off the show by just talking about some breaking news from maybe today and even earlier on into the week. I'm going to just throw out a few headlines to you guys and want your opinion on some of these things, okay? So I'll kick it off with Anthony Richardson gets his job back as a starting QB for the Colts. I honestly did not see this coming. I was like,
it was so
what?
quick. It was so fast. They're like, he's done for the year, and then boom, he's back.
Right. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about that move.
Yeah. I have just one word. Why? just why? I don't know. I mean, like, well, I don't know. You gotta. I feel like I honestly don't have an answer. This is one of those teams where they're not terrible, but they're just not good either. So they're just like that limbo team. You know, they're not like our teams that are just the pits, right? They're like the worst in the league, but they're also just not good. So I'm at the point now where like you want to start Anthony Richardson. Okay, whatever. You're gonna lose anyway. Like you're gonna be below a 500 team.
Yeah, but even if they're gonna be bad, is it one of those cases where maybe he just needs to sit? Right? Like we get so enamored with guys coming out of college and playing right away. Maybe he's just one that needs to sit. What do you think, Chris?
I have multiple thoughts right now. So look, Anthony Richardson coming out of the 2023 draft, he was the 4th overall pick, going up against Joe Flacco, who, he played the last 2 games against Minnesota. He put up 179 yards, no touchdowns. They lost. They lost to Minnesota 21-13. Then the following week, Joe Flacco last week goes off, plays Buffalo Bills, 272 yards with 2 TDs. However, the Colts lose 30-20 against the Bills. Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco. I think that the theory, the only thing that I could figure out is like they decided to bench him 2 weeks later, if I'm not mistaken. They decided to start him. Is it like them trying to figure out if he's the guy going forward? Like, are they going to use this season to determine, is Anthony Richardson going to be our guy, or are we just that bad that we would consider doing something crazy and looking for another future quarterback? Like, I don't know what's the reasoning, but if Joe Flacco is still putting up these numbers and the team's losing, is he not doing enough for them to win to see if Anthony Richardson can give them the W? So it's either that or they're trying to see if he's the guy. And, years ago, for example, the Giants had Eli Manning and we had a crazy turmoil of coaches. But at one point they, what were they benching Eli Manning for other quarterbacks? Were they trying to see who's the future? I don't know. Maybe that's something that the Colts are trying to decide right now. Are they trying to say, all right, let's give Anthony Richardson another shot, or we're not sure if he's actually the future?
I think that's way too aggressive of a thought. Personally, I think the guy hasn't even played.
I mean,
he hasn't even played 10 games in the NFL. Like in 2 years. At this point, or maybe he's played 10.
Yeah.
So like, I think that
I'm just saying I don't know. That's the bottom line.
No,
I don't know what their thought process is, so I'm trying to, give extremes and kind of, dig into their mind, but I don't know.
I think sitting him behind Flacco has a lot of value.
I agree,
and I think that you're missing that by just pushing him in early again. I think that letting him sit and learn from Flacco, have success, is not. I mean, Flacco's not your future, right? Like, so you let him sit and learn from this guy. And then, last year they didn't really have, they had Gardner, but Minshew wasn't the answer. And you draft him and boom, you're starting him right away. And then he plays, he gets hurt, and then he's out for the season. You don't have to start the guy right away.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Flacco's not giving you an opportunity to win. Christopher just said that. So, no, yes, they lost the last 2 games, but it's not like his numbers were impeding their ability to win. They played a very good team in the Buffalo Bills last week. So I think that I'm with you. I think you should have kept him seated. And
I think that the other thing to mention is, I guess we dug deep into the positivities of Joe Flacco. Over the course of the last 2 games, he had 6 turnovers. So I think that that's played he's put up yardage, he's put up TDs, but I guess the 6 turnovers are probably what has pushed the Colts to end up benching him.
That could be. It could be more of a Flacco benching than a Richardson starting. That could be too because of turnovers.
He's got 6 turnovers, in the last 2 games, and that's definitely played a factor in their decision, if not the entirety of their decision. So that's probably what it is.
And I agree with both of you. What's funny is that, so I know he's only played 10 games, and I believe it or not, I've seen a bunch of Colts football. I'm not sure why I'm in Charlotte, but they've been on TV. So I've seen him play, and he's just not seeing the field. A quick funny story. I attempted to play quarterback when I was in Optimist football. I tried out for 1 year, and I threw 5 interceptions in a game. First time trying it, I couldn't see anything, man. I felt like Jameis Winston. Maybe I needed LASIK surgery. I don't know. But listen, for a guy, if he, based off experience, if a guy's not seeing the field, it's better off to just to let him sit and kind of just learn, man. No matter how the starting quarterback's playing, like, just ride the wave, let him get, those mental reps that he'll need, let him watch the game, kind of make in-game adjustments while he's seeing it from the sideline, right? Like, hey, what would you have done in this situation? Just so he can mentally process what's going on and then see if some of that translates in practice, and you could potentially have it translate for the following year. But to bench him, put him back in, I don't know. I just feel like you're doing more a disservice to him, because now you're expecting them. All right, yeah, you were benched for 2 games. You come back and play. If he does terrible again, then all of our thoughts are, yeah, they really have to get rid of this guy. But like you said, he hasn't even played a full 17-game season. How can that even be the case? So it's like, don't rush him back into it. But it seems like that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
I guess talking it out more, it just definitely seems more of a Joe Flacco benching than a, hey, let's start Anthony Richardson.
And at that standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, a few more headlines I want to get to. Trevor Lawrence is being benched this week. He had an injury to his non-throwing shoulder. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'll let you go first, Mike.
I mean, listen, you could say what we want about the production that the Jaguars have had, which has been abysmal. I think that if he's injured, he's injured. You don't push it. They paid him to be their franchise quarterback. I understand that the production hasn't been great, but production and his performance aside, if he's not playing, like last season, he played hurt for the majority of the season and tried to gut it out, and they fell short. And I mean, it definitely took a toll on him. I think that this year, you're not playing for anything like you were last year, right? We established, off air before the show that the Jaguars and the Giants are the 2 worst teams in the league right now. Jaguars are holding the first pick in the NFL draft. Obviously, we're only halfway through the season, so that can change dramatically by the end of the year. But you're almost guaranteed to not make the playoffs at this point, right? Mathematically, they're not eliminated, but history says they are. So if he has any form of injury, I'm sitting him, and whoever's, healthy and can play, they're getting the reps.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Jaguars are 2-8, and I 100% agree. Trevor Lawrence is the franchise quarterback of the Jaguars right now, moving forward. Can that change in a few years? Maybe, but you know what? Right now he's their guy, and it's just like every team. I mean, 2-8. You don't want to give up on the season, like you said. We're only halfway there, but you're definitely not rushing back your franchise quarterback. You're letting him get healthy. 100%.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's segue into our next segment of the show because this is something that, since this is a Doc's Huddle, that we want to get into, and this is our Doctor's Round, where we talk about the latest injuries coming up for the following week. And as we're entering week 11, there's one key injury I want to get to, and then we can kind of discuss the others. Chris, our sports enthusiast stats individual, I know that you kind of looked up and found a lot about JJ McCarthy's procedure that he recently received. So you mind shedding some light on that? And then Mike, you can take over after that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of research out there is saying that JJ McCarthy was having a second surgery. I think the term surgery for him has been loosely used and is more of just a procedure. It sounds like he's been pushed really hard in physical therapy where his knee has been swelling up a lot. So he just got an injection that's going to help reduce the swelling. The specifics of the injection, I don't know. Maybe you guys know a little bit further or don't. I don't know if that's even public knowledge. It might not be. But yeah, I mean, basically, he's just this doesn't affect his timetable of recovering and when he's supposed to come back, but it's just supposed to help the swelling. Yeah, that's basically what I've got with JJ.
Yeah. So, right, a meniscus repair surgery is one that is going to have a lot of fluctuations in swelling. I tell my patients this all the time. If you are dealing with this is a common thing. Now, unfortunately, like you said, there's not much that we can get that's public knowledge on the particular injection. It was called a biologic injection. I mean, what is that, right? Like, this is what we do for a living, and that's not telling me much. Is it stem cells? Maybe, right? Maybe, right? We were thinking of what else, what it could have been. Maybe they're giving him a stem cell injection, maybe a PRP injection. I don't know. I've seen great results with PRP for certain things. For those who don't know what that is, that's platelet-rich plasma. What they do is they take some of your blood, they put it in this machine that will spin it for you, separating the red blood cells and then your plasma. That's the murky yellow, portion of your blood. And they take that and they inject it back into the site of injury to help further improve healing to an area. I find that has more success with tendons, and maybe muscular tissue, things that are inside the joint, such as a meniscus, that's poorly vascularized. Even though, yes, the whole idea is that, oh, well, if it's not getting good blood flow, this is a way of providing that blood flow. I just feel like, in my experience, it hasn't taken very well. It doesn't really work too well. And so it sounds like this is just they're trying to provide him with something to continue along his healing process, despite this influx in swelling. But I mean, this stuff is normal, especially if you're going to push it, right? Like, if you need to load the joint, you need to load the muscles for it to grow and for the muscles to grow and get stronger, and so that way he can progress. It's just a fickle thing where, like, that meniscus is going to want to swell up and blow up on people a lot more. That's why when you see patients or athletes who had just an ACL injury versus their ACL and meniscus repair, or just a meniscus repair in JJ McCarthy's case, like, the rehab timetable is always very similar, but what they go through and what they experience throughout their rehab is going to be considerably different. And the swelling, I find, is one of the largest things that differs. What are your thoughts, MJB?
Yeah, no, I agree. And if there was anything intra-articular that was potentially damaged, Mike, I agree. Where if you're thinking more tissue-related, PRP injections definitely help. But if you're talking more intra-articular, meniscus, cartilage, I've seen articles where stem cell has been shown to show improvements with that, which obviously makes sense. But yeah, I mean, we don't know the extent of the setback, right? We don't know if there was just an abundance of swelling in his knee that just, needed to be taken care of. They didn't specify in the articles that we've seen, so we'll speculate that it's just a minor procedure, no setback in the timetable, and we should expect them back at the start of next season.
Yeah,
and he's not far out, right? Like, guys, like,
no,
it's like, we got to remember, like, we're talking about training camp next year. Like, this is a very long rehab. He's still fresh. He probably wasn't even weight bearing on that leg for up to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
From the time he had the surgery. Now, like, he's still very fresh out. So I think this is all precautionary.
Yeah, definitely. And just, for the viewers, this is just a little graphic of the PRP injection going into the knee. And fun fact about your boy, I did get a PRP injection, and let me tell you something. It's one of the most painful things ever.
It's not. It's not. And
Yeah.
you know, it's unfortunate because you if you don't mind me speaking on yours a little bit more, Chris. You know, you were having it done for an ACL, a partial ACL type of injury that, you know, needed to it failed, right? The PRP did not work, and you needed to undergo the corrective surgery, and that goes along with what I was saying before, that intra-articular PRP injection, whether it's for a ligamentous tissue like the ACL or a meniscus. I just don't see it take. I don't see it really help.
Yeah.
It's more for like a tendon or a muscle injury,
Yep.
Yep.
something that's outside of a joint, right? So,
Mhm.
you know, it's just one of those things. So that's why maybe this is more stem cell than it is PRP, but we won't know. Both can be labeled as a biologic injection, and we just have to guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other injuries on our doctor's rounds that stand out to you guys that may be pertinent to this upcoming week?
Yeah, I think the Keon Coleman one is a big one for me. He's been one of the more exciting rookie wide receivers this year. We know that wide receiver room for the Buffalo Bills is relatively thin, and they made that recent trade for Amari Cooper. He was on our injury report last week. He's still questionable. It's uncertain if he's going to return. He didn't make it to our list this week because that's not a new injury. But knowing that Keon Coleman will be out with that wrist injury, the Bills better hope they can get Amari Cooper back on the field this upcoming week.
Yeah, and for me, just to continue along the receiver tree, Nico Collins coming back. I think that's a big one too. Him being on the Texans. If you guys also forgot, Stephon Diggs is out, so his production might kick up real fast and be worth it for fantasy. If you never know if he's available. If someone dropped him that doesn't have an IR spot in their league or something like that. So,
Yeah, I know a league like that. Yeah, so I agree with you, Chris. I think that's a great point you made there.
Yeah, for sure. And the other guys are kind of questionable. So as the week kind of pans out, we'll see what their status becomes closer to Sunday, or even Thursday if they're playing that game. Pivoting over into our next segment, this is where we have our roster triage, where we decide which players or even offense or defenses that we want to elect to start and sit for the week. It could be based on injuries. It could be based on lack of production from certain individuals. So, Mikey B, I'll have you kick us off with your roster triage and let us know what you have there, bud.
Yeah, so I just mentioned it, Keon Coleman. I think that he's been a joy to watch on the football field this year. Has been very productive for the Bills. He's been a great asset for your fantasy team. Unfortunately, he will not be there this week. Who to start in place of him? Well, I wanted to make a selection that it was going to be prevalent for 12 and 14 man leagues, as well as a 10-man league, depending on really what's left and what might work for you if you're really hurting at the wide receiver position. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be that guy. He put up 17 plus points in fantasy last week. It's only his third game coming back. He's really coming into his own, right? They have Jawan Jennings basically is their number 2, right? After because Ayuk is out for the year, and now he's kind of coming into that number 3 wide receiver spot. And I think that he could be really effective. I hope neither of you go and take him, because I'm looking to maybe pick him up in our league this week. We'll see. But
I thought about picking him up.
I didn't jump on him because I have Jawan Jennings, and so for me to double up.
Matter of fact,
yeah, which makes sense. I would have picked him up myself in practice what I preach, but I would have Jawan Jennings, who, you know, to me is obviously right at this point in time. Yeah, I know Matt might steal him from Mike over there, but I think that this is someone that is going to just get better each week, and I'm excited to see some of those crazy catches we know he can make. He had one great play last week, and I think there's more to come from him.
Yeah, I agree.
Excited for Ricky Pearsall too, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Very unfortunate what happened, but now that he's bouncing back is great. All right, CJ, Chris, go ahead and tell us what you got, man.
Yeah, so the focus is on the stardom with the Lions defense. So right now, Lions defense is they're basically second ranked in the NFL with turnovers. They have about 15 takeaways for the defense, and they also are first ranked with third down conversions, stopping offenses on third down conversions. Now, the next 3 weeks for the Lions, they have coming up this week Jacksonville, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Chicago. So if they're available, it's a big start, and you can hold them and keep playing them. Chargers are going up against. Let's steal this share real quick, just to show you guys here. Oh. Chargers are going up against the Bengals with Joey B, really hot, and Jamar Chase really hot. So I mean, they're a sit-em for me, and a lot of other defenses. I'd argue that the Lions are a very strong start, especially with Trevor Lawrence being out and Mac Jones starting for the Jaguars this week, and again the next couple of weeks coming up.
Yeah, I like that pick. Joey B, he's having an underrated season. Just the Bengals aren't playing well, so you wouldn't know that. But if you look
It's
at
that
his stats,
defense.
he's having a good season. Yeah.
The defense is struggling. I agree. Listen. I saw these stats. He's just insane. November comes and he just turns it on. And he's just a different player. He's just such a slow starter in the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, I think that they might be starting off too slow for them to make a run this year with the Bengals because they can't get past teams like the Ravens. But yeah, I really like this, Chris. I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go ahead and show my Dr. Triage, roster triage. So I have CJ Stroud versus and I would start CJ Stroud and I would bench Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is obviously going season-ending surgery for his hamstring, and the Texans are playing the Cowboys. So this roster triage was all about opportunity, right? Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott having a lot of difficulty sustaining drives during games. So it's going to give a lot of opportunities to that Texans offense with Nico Collins back in the lineup for them to do some massive damage against that Cowboys defense. Obviously, I think when healthy, Cowboys defense are formidable, but when you can't sustain drives, you can only hold off of teams for so long. And I think because Texans have a high-powered offense and they'll get multiple opportunities to try and score, I think this is a no-brainer here.
Yeah,
absolutely. Agree. And you fill a roster spot with Dak. Like I just dropped him in our league. I picked up another quarterback, so he's done for the year. So CJ Stroud's also just an awesome quarterback. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, I think if people have had the luxury of not having to start him each week, and this is a good start. I think, I think the quarterback position has been so subpar, so mediocre across the league this year that many people might be starting him already. But if they're not, and they have him as their second option, this is one where you're going to want to play him this week, because I think that Dallas Cowboys team is just god awful, and I expect big things from CJ this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Chris, with Dak being out, who'd you pick up?
You already know, Russell Wilson. That's who I've been playing.
Listen, this is why I get paid the big bucks.
That's right. That's it.
You already know.
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, that's right. Moving along, everyone, we are going to our Docs prescribed parlays. All right, here's where we throw up a little bit of moolah and see how much we can get into exchange for that. So I know I have a prescribed parlay. I know Mikey B has a prescribed parlay. So Mikey B, go ahead and show us yours, and then we'll get to mine right after.
All right. So this week we're doing another same game parlay for the Thursday night football game. I believe we both went heavy on this week because, to be honest with everyone, a lot of the lines are not out yet for Sunday. A little interesting. There's a couple matchups that I was looking forward to trying to incorporate. So if we are able to create a few more parlays for you guys between now and then, we will. But for now, this is going to be the one that I think is going to hit. We have Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown. This is going to hit. There's only one thing that might prevent this, and Dr. MJB will allude to this when we talk about his parlay, and that is the goddamn tush push. If they can punch it in from 3 yards or further, it's going to be Saquon. You get in within 2 yards, it's going to Jalen. So we're hoping that Saquon can get one. I think Saquon has a big game. Another one which should be very achievable. Saquon Barkley, 100 rushing plus receiving yards. So that means that any combination of the two stats, as long as he hits 100, you hit, which I think is a pretty good bet going into tomorrow night. Jaden Daniels, 25 plus rushing yards in almost, not all, but in almost all of the games he's played, he's rushed for over 25. So I think that this is a pretty good one. I think it's going to happen. I know that it can fluctuate in these divisional games, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. And then lastly, Terry McLaurin, over 4.5 receptions. He's been coming on more and more each week, and I think that we're seeing the Jaden Terry connection just boom. I'd be shocked if he does not hit with at least 5 receptions. Like, this might hit by the third quarter.
Yeah, I like most of these. Terry frustrates the hell out of me, man, because every time I think that he's going to ball out, and I picked him before in different parlays, he has failed me miserably. I don't know if he has something out against me. I don't even know if he knows my name, but he has failed me plenty of times, man. So, I mean, I'm hoping you're right on this one, because if not, I feel like everything else could kind of hit. But, man, he has failed me in the past, dude.
As long as you didn't take him, I feel good about it.
and that's why it's going to hit.
Yeah, that's right. If you took him, I would not be feeling good about it. So I feel like we're all right. We're all right.
Yeah, and something kind of interesting, just like it's like a weird visual thing. It's like if you look at Saquon Barkley's stats, he's got, starting with week 1, 2 touchdowns, then none, then 2 touchdowns, then none, and then he goes to a bye week, then he has none, then he gets 1, 0, 1, 0. So what I'm pointing out here is every other week he puts up at least 1 touchdown. Last week he did put up a touchdown. So this week,
it's time.
If that pattern still lives, it's time.
And he's hitting. This is gonna hit 20 to an 86. If you're really feeling lucky and you love it, you can always throw it up 25 plus to get you over 100. This one I am feeling pretty good about. We'll be sure to put it out on our Instagram too, so everyone can see it there if you're not catching the show this evening.
All right. Well, I'll show you guys where the money is really at. Okay. This is a 3-leg parlay we have here. For $20, you can win 100. I have Josh Allen, 2 passing TDs. Okay. They're going against the Chiefs. I think that it's going to be a higher scoring game than most people think. I think both quarterbacks are going to go out there and just want to show what they can do and why they're the record that they have at the moment. I have Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker, to make 2 field goals. And then I have Jalen Hurts. Saquon's going to run down the field. He's going to get to that 2 or 1 yard line. He's not going to punch it in. They're going to give it to who? Jalen Hurts for the tush push. So either I'm going to be right or Mike's going to be right, but one of the two is going to happen. You put in this 3-leg parlay, you bet $20, guaranteed $100. Now, I'll be honest. I know the last couple of weeks, it hasn't been that great. And if you have put money in, I'm sorry. But we'll make it up for you this week.
Listen,
and we'll go ahead and get this ticket.
They've been close, right? Like I've been, especially the Thursday night same game parlays, we've missed. It's not been good for us the last few. We're talking 3, 4, 2, 1 yard. Okay, like we have not missed by more than 4 yards in the last few weeks. That's how close these things have been, just by the matter of a play or a penalty. So I'm feeling really good this week. Shit, we might both hit. That's how good I'm feeling about these.
I would love that. We got to get our money back.
Amen. Amen.
All right. So now we go into our last segment of the show. This is where we have our notorious 2-minute drill. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't have the best record last week. I tallied up my score and I was a whopping 10-4. But some of these games, man, you guys would pick the same as an end result. It just doesn't turn out to be that way. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. And last Sunday just wasn't the Sunday for me. So
listen,
10-4 is still not a bad record, though.
10-4.
I was going to say, I thought you did good. I mean, and I will be hard on you, and I will tell you, you did terrible. I will let you know if you did no good. I thought you did good, right? So I thought you did pretty good at 10-4.
All right. Well, then the goal this week is to beat that. All right. Anything better than 10-4, we'll call it a success.
I'm with it.
So if you guys are ready, Let's get
Let's
to
do
it.
All right, what do we got here? So I'm pulling up the clock, moving everything so we can see. Okay. And go.
I have to say, I'm loving this. 2 weeks in a row, we get quality Thursday night football. It's
Agreed.
not always this way. Sometimes I have nothing to look forward to on Thursdays, but this time I do. Eagles at home. I'm going to take the Eagles at home. I don't think they win by much, but I'm definitely going to take the Eagles at home. I'm going to take Packers over the Bears, Lions over the Jaguars. I think Dolphins beat the Raiders. Man, I thought the Rams were going to beat the Dolphins last week. It didn't happen. I'm going to go Patriots, man. I'm going to go Patriots over the Rams. I think it's a revenge game, a little revenge games for our boy Jameis.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Browns. The Browns over the Saints. This one's a really good game. Holy crap.
Game of the week.
Ah, man. I think Ravens are just hot, man. I'm not gonna bet against them until I have to. So I'm going to Ravens over the Steelers, Vikings over the Titans. This is like the Panthers and Giants game last week. It's like Colts and Jets. You can flip a coin. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Colts.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I'm gonna go Colts. That's another good game. I'm gonna take
30 seconds.
I'm gonna take Broncos over the Falcons. I'm gonna go San Fran over Seattle. I think Chiefs get their first loss from the Bills. I'm gonna go Bengals over the Chargers, and I'm gonna go Texans over the Cowboys. Holla at your boy.
Well done
I
with
think-
14 seconds remaining.
I don't hate any of them, but I'm going to go Rams over the Patriots.
Okay.
I think they're going to come back after losing to the Dolphins, and they're going to come out strong.
Patriots have been playing quality football lately. I'll say that.
Nothing against the Patriots. I just think that it was a disappointing loss for them the way they played against the Dolphins. So I think they're going to come back out and play way
Yeah,
better.
I agree with Chris. Did you take the Broncos or the Falcons?
I take the
Broncos.
Broncos.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I absolutely love that pick. And then I'm sorry, did you take the Chiefs or the Bills?
Bills.
I have Bills giving Chiefs their first loss.
Yeah, I think so too. It's got to happen, right?
Yeah,
Listen, if it's not going to be the Bills, it's going to be the Panthers the following week.
that's how you know you're crazy.
All right, so what you just said is that the Bills are a lock. That's what you just said. So everybody put your money on the Bills because MJB says it's a lock. It is a lock. So yeah, I agree. I think it kills me, man, because I believe that the Washington Commanders are a better football team than the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Philadelphia Eagles don't know how to lose. It's like weird. It's like they squeak out these wins where statistically they'll be worse than their opponent and they still come out on top, which to me, yeah, they're a 7-2 team. This is going to be a team that I think goes far during the season. They get a good seed in the playoffs, and I don't think they go more than 2 wins in the playoffs. I think like they're not a Super Bowl contending team in my opinion. I think that they'll probably find a way to win. The spread's only -3, so they're probably they might not even cover, right? That's how close I think that game's gonna be, like you said. But we'll see. Yeah. And then lastly, you said Indy over the Jets. Did we go over that one?
Dude, for me, I couldn't tell you why I chose one over the other. It was just like it's like ketchup or mustard.
I think
you just
that-
gotta just pick one.
I think Anthony Richardson has some fire in him, and he comes out and he wants to just he goes for it. But it is a coin toss.
I'm taking the Jets. I just for the fact
Aaron
that
Rodgers starting to figure it out with Devontae Adams, and
honestly, I don't. Maybe even not. Like I don't even know. I really don't. I really don't think so. I think that I think they're terrible too. the Jets are going to win 1 or 2 more games, maybe 3. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as an arbitrary number. They're going to have a couple meaningless wins, but they're not going to really go anywhere. This is one of them. I think Anthony Richardson comes in. He does okay, but not good enough to get the W against Aaron Rodgers. And that's really what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, fair.
Right? So that's my thoughts. Well, we want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to watch this episode of the Docs Huddle. That's going to wrap up the show for today. Please stay tuned on Instagram for any further updates on our parlays leading into the games this upcoming Sunday. Until then, for CJ, the sports enthusiast, Dr. MJB, the legend, I'm Dr. Mikey B. Until next time, see you guys next week.